TET qualified candidates from the year 2014 was sitting there in a sit-in demonstration for 4 days, demanding that the government and the primary education board should give them appointments, should give them recruitments.
Mamata Banerjee needs to resign. If she can't keep her promise as the Chief Minister of West Bengal, let her resign.
All the youth of West Bengal are today aggrieved because their jobs have been snatched away by Trinamool's corrupt minister.
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The Trinamool Congress government of West Bengal finds itself in another corruption storm. After candidates who cleared the teacher eligibility test for positions in the state-run schools took to the streets of Kolkata after a midnight crackdown by the state police. Protesters clashed with the police and several were detained after cops lathi charged the agitating teachers. But these educators have a serious grouse. They cleared the test to become government teachers back in 2014. Over 8 years later, they are demanding appointment letters for the jobs they have qualified for, alleging that their names have been removed from the latest merit list. The teachers claim corruption in the recruitment process, saying jobs went to the highest bidders and have refused to appear in a fresh examination, and rightly so. The BJP and the Congress also took to the streets of Kolkata demanding Mamata Banerjee's resignation for not only keeping these teachers in limbo for 8 years, but for the police brutality against these educators. Section 144 has been imposed in the area as the political war only escalates. The big question we ask today, in the middle of multiple corruption scandals, has Mamata Banerjee let down the teachers of West Bengal? Joining me on the show, Manojit Mandal, spokesperson of the TMC. We also have Priyanka Tibrewal, spokesperson of the West Bengal BJP. Mr. Tibrewal, I'm coming to you first, and I want to understand from you. We saw protests here. What is the BJP's game plan? What are you demanding from Mamata Banerjee and the TMC? Or is the party making political capital out of the misery that the TMC finds itself in?
Not at all. This is not at all political. What lies here is the misery of these students. And we see that here there is a government who has no empathy with these students who have passed the exams. They are the job seekers who should have been given the the jobs. But instead, what is shown to them is inhuman behavior, brutality. A barbaric act of the government was witnessed yesterday, where we saw that the police administration was working as the weapon of this government. It pulled the hair of women there sitting on the streets. They dragged them, threw them in their cars, and somehow they took them to the police station. Not just that, the brutality was that at 2:30 in the night, they left the women on roads and asked them to catch a train and go back to the different districts because they couldn't keep them in the police station. Now, see, what lies here is, it is quite visible that there is corruption in the education scam and the recruitment scam, which is already visible, and all of us know about it.
Okay.
That there is investigation going on.
Yes. So let me take the questions to Manojit Mandal of the Trinamool Congress. Manojit Mandal, the question here is simple. For 8 years, the promises have not been kept. Partha Chatterjee, Manik Bhattacharya, 2 ministers of Mamata Banerjee's cabinet have already been denied bail and are currently in the custody of central agencies for scams related to recruitment in Bengal. And it's evidently clear now that there is more than what meets the eye. Is this kind of high-handed approach to dealing with these candidates, that is the TET candidates, the right approach of the government?
First of all, please correct your facts. Once you qualify for teachers' eligibility test, doesn't guarantee you a job. You need to go to a process. And the process which is mandated, and this must be noted, by the central government. We follow the rules and regulations mandated by the central government. In this case, the act is called NCT Act, National Council of teachers' education. These laws are made, regulations and guidelines are made by the central government. The state government follows that laws, and according to that laws, you clear the TET and then you pass through an interview. Now, these batches of candidates that you are mentioning, evidently, they are saying that they do not want to take the interviews, which is mandated by a law.
Manojit Mandal, for 8 years, none of these processes were followed.
Now, then come to this point. 8 years. Now, for the last 8 years, these people have been, many of them have been fighting cases in the High Court. Have they been deprived of their legal rights? The High Court, the kind of activism that they are showing, would have taken 8 days to get them appointment. What does it suggest? It suggests that they are not eligible to get appointment. They're eligible to sit for an interview. But to get an appointment, you need to clear the interview. They are refusing on the ground to take the interview and looking for appointment letter on the spot.
No, they got the letters.
Is it possible?
They got the letters and now they have their names are being removed from the merit list only because they have not bribed the government, is what the people, those protesting teachers are saying.
This is amazing. I mean, show me the list of candidates who have figured in the merit list and they have been deprived of something called supersession. If they have been superseded by another candidate below their rank, they will get the job. I said in 8 days if they go to the court, which they have done already for the last 8 years. What are you talking about?
No. But then how come all of a sudden these protests are happening?
No. First of all,
why are these protests happening?
The protests are happening. Yes, that's what I'm saying. The protests are happening because they are trying to. जिसके कहते हैं ना, ये जो their water has been muddied because of the corruption charges. They are trying to take advantage of that. If they have got rightful claim and they have been deprived for 8 years.
But the corruption here is of your government.
Who says this?
Because if you're saying the water has been muddied, who is responsible? For 8 years, what did you do?
No. Have you got any proof that these people have been corruptly deprived?
So you are saying that there is no basis of these protests?
Absolutely, there is no legal basis of the protest.
So there is no legal basis of these protests. Priyanka.
So, Maria, allow me to speak now. I am giving some facts and then I will integrate all of them. Now, these students who have cleared their TET exams, thereafter, they went for interview. Now, what is the process? Whether they are selected or not selected, there has to be a score. But TMC and the government and the education department, what are they telling the court? That they do not have the score because they have burned the mark sheets. They are saying that they cannot show the scores which these students have got because it is burnt. So the fact which I am saying that it is about corruption is that they have taken money from certain students and they have given them jobs, and this has been proved in the High Court. That is the reason their education minister and all others are there in the jail now. And now they are saying that you again appear for the interview and then based on that we will give you jobs. Now again there is no process of letting a student know what is his score. So whoever paid money, his name is there in the merit list. Otherwise, we are challenging that these students whom you are saying that they do not deserve job, show their mark sheets, show their scores, but they are not ready. Rather, they have already said that those papers are not with him because they have taken blank answer sheets from the students from whom they took money, and based on that, these jobs were given to
Manojit
them.
Mandal,
Now,
Manojit Mandal,
I am not just saying this.
If your top ministers, Partha Chatterjee and Manik Bhattacharya, both close aides of Mamata Banerjee, had to step down, Minister of State for Education Paresh Adhikari was guilty of getting his own daughter a teacher's job without following due process. If that is the proximity of the entire education system and recruitment scam in Bengal, then how do you escape the charge that there is corruption here and these protests are legitimate?
Without facing interview, they got jobs. Without facing interview, they got jobs.
Yes.
Can I respond?
Yes, Manojit.
I can respond if you only allow me time. First of all, my good friend is a lawyer and she must be knowing that there is a writ in the High Court which can be commanded by the court of law to get the answer scripts as well. And because of
It has
that
been
kind
said.
of
Now
read,
he is repeating.
please ask her
That
to
has
stop.
been
Please
said,
ask her
and
to
they
stop.
said in the High
I'll call her out. I know.
Court.
Please
They
ask her.
said
This
in
is
the
not a
High
way to
Court
debate.
that those
This
marks
is
are
no
wrong.
way debate.
The papers are not available. That is what they said.
Maria, please ask her to stop.
No, you
I have
can't
called
keep
her
on
out.
lying
She's
brazenly, and
misleading
I
the
will not
country.
keep quiet to your brazen
She
lie
is
over here.
misleading the country, even on a legal
You are
point.
misleading.
Should
You
be
are a
knowing.
liar. TMC is a liar. That has been witnessed.
Is this
That
the way
is the
you
reason
conduct a
that in
debate,
an
Maria?
affidavit given in the
Is this the way
Supreme
you
Court,
conduct a debate?
in an affidavit given by the ED
Priyanka,
and the
Priyanka,
CBI.
This is the way you
Priyanka, I've
He's
asked some
lying, he's
questions.
lying.
I've asked some questions to Monojit. He's a representative of the
First
state
of all,
government. Let him respond. Yes, go ahead.
I won't stoop down to the level of calling my good friend a liar. That's not a good one on TV. And this is what they are doing with these students as well. Look at her, look at her, look at her, look at her uncut, violent behavior on TV. And then what they must be doing.
Violence has been witnessed by everyone.
Look at her again. Look at her again.
I will not give you a chance to digest from the topic. Please speak about your corruption.
Because you are disturbing
Speak about your
me.
corruption.
Who are
Speak
you?
about your corruption.
Who?
Okay,
Amit Shah was in jail.
Monojit,
No, Amit Shah.
Monojit,
Amit Shah was
answer
in-
my
See,
questions.
I knew he would
Answer
digest.
my questions.
How
Okay,
can I
okay,
answer
Priyanka.
your questions if you
Priyanka.
cannot control your
Let
friend?
him answer.
Okay, Priyanka.
Please control your friend to get the
Okay,
answer.
now listen.
Have some
Monojit,
self-respect. I'm
Monojit.
answering the questions even on legal points.
Okay, Monojit,
The
just keep
legal-
it focused
yes.
on this discussion,
Now
please.
you picked up an issue of a person who was removed from a job. That was done by a court of law. Apparently, prima facie, the court through the affidavits found that this job is illegal. Similarly, if these people are legally entitled to get the job, the same court who is terribly active could have passed an order and we are ready to give them job if they have been illegally deprived of. It suggests on the face of it, for the last 8 years, despite fighting cases, they could not secure a
Monojit
single
Mandal,
order.
has the
Now-
executive...
What
No,
Monojit
one
Mandal?
moment.
Now
Has
they are
the executive
blackmailing. This
handed
is-
over its responsibilities to the judiciary?
Oh, acha, I tell you. Then when the 10,000 teachers lost jobs in Tripura due to a court order, what did you say?
See, look
What
at
did
his
you
political
say?
colors.
What did you say?
Look at his
And you are a
political
politician
colours.
and a very nasty one. You are a very nasty
Look
politician.
at his
I don't
colours.
this kind
Look
of
at his
politician.
colours. Now,
I
No,
don't-
no
I don't-
personal
I don't do this
attacks.
kind of politician.
No personal
Nothing.
attacks. Priyanka, just hold on to your
Ask
thoughts,
her to-
please.
ask her to refrain from attacking me
Yes,
personally.
okay.
Country is
Ask her
Priyanka,
to refrain from. She is
Priyanka.
even
Priyanka.
very tough on
Priyanka.
legal. She is even very tough on
Monojit,
legal
quickly.
standing. She
Monojit,
should
respond.
have-
Monojit.
Hooliganism has been witnessed.
If the charges made by her that the scripts are not there, a court can demand. You must be knowing. If you don't know, educate yourself about law. There is a writ which the court can issue to get everything, including the blank answer script. If the court wants,
Why
there
is
a
Manik
writ.
Bhattacharya
There is a
behind
writ
bars?
jurisdiction. Oh, Amit Shah
Why
was
is
in.
Manik Bhattacharya behind
Amit Shah was behind bar. Was he guilty of killing
No.
a people?
What is written in
Amit
the
Shah was
affidavit given by the
Amit Shah was
AD
behind
and the
bar.
CBI before the
Did he
Supreme
kill
Court?
that person?
What
Did he
is
kill that person?
written
You are a
in the
lawyer
affidavit
and
by the
arguing
ED and
like a
CBI given in the
stupid
Supreme
kid on
Court
TV.
that there is corruption
Are you
in
behaving
primary
like a
education
lawyer?
as well. And you
don't know
see
the
the
legal
half
position.
which are left
You
out
don't even know the
will be
legal
again
position.
behind bars.
You should be calling. You are calling yourself
The
a lawyer.
other half.
and educated
Okay,
you are now.
okay, Priyanka, please hold on to your thoughts.
Look at her.
I want to
Yes.
understand from you.
Yes.
From you, Manojit Mandal. If the Chief Minister has nothing to hide, if your government has nothing to hide, then why midnight crackdown? It could have been done respectfully. A dialogue could have been initiated and a common ground arrived at. Why wasn't that effort made?
Yes. The effort has been made for the last 3 to 4 days. Now there was an order from the Honorable High Court saying that clear of that ground.
From the government, ask him.
Clear of that ground. Please stop this violent
Ask him
lady on
one
TV.
person from the government who
TV.
visited that
Stop this
place.
violent lady. She should be ashamed of herself. She was beaten up
Stop
by the
this
people of Bengal
liar.
twice within
Stop this liar. He's
6
lying
months. And look at
brazenly
the way she
sitting on the
behaves on
national
TV.
television.
She was beaten
Not a
by
single
the
representative
people
of
of
the
Bengal
government went
twice
there.
within 6 months.
The chief
This is the way she behaves on
minister
TV.
went to
This is the
a
way she
very
behaves on
nearby
TV.
location.
If you are so
and she
clear on the legal
refused
points,
to
why
go
are
to
you
these
disturbing your
students.
friends? If you
Now
are so
see how
clear
he's
on a
lying.
legal ground, you are
Absolute
misleading.
absolute.
You are
Actually,
misleading the
the
people
seed of
and even
corruption,
disturbing the panel
the
on TV
seed
because
of
you are
lying
so
and the
loose
act
on
and
your
the
legal
talent is
ground.
present in
You are
every in the government.
Absolutely caught on the wrong hand because you are instigating these people. Because you don't have
The
any
chief
standing on law,
minister
and that's why
went
he's
there,
agitating.
but she
If
did
you have
not
got
meet the
legal
students.
point,
She
if you have got
visited a
legal
place
point,
near to that
we could have
place,
said
but did
today
not
order in
visit
the last
them.
8 years.
None from
And
the
if you are
government.
fighting the case,
None from
fight
the
the
government
case
went.
properly.
None from
Fight
the
the
government.
case
All right,
properly.
thank you so
You
much
have
for
to
joining
say
us,
we
Manohit
lost
Mandal and Priyanka Tibrewal. I'm going to shift focus to what was the big story through the day today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big Aastha push. It was another demonstration of Aastha by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who visited the Kedarnath and Badrinath temples today. He performed darshan and puja at the holy shrines and reviewed the progress of the infrastructure revamp at both the sites. The Prime Minister also launched development projects worth over 3,500 crore. Speaking on the government's spiritual tourism mission, Prime Minister Modi said that increasing connectivity to these religious shrines is central to the government's mission. Remember, thousands of pilgrims annually visit the Kedarnath, Badrinath and Gangotri shrines, which are collectively a part of the Char Dham. A record 4.2 million devotees visited the shrines this year alone. From Kashi Vishwanath to the Ujjain Mahakal corridor, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has led the charge in bringing Hindu Aastha into the wider Vikas narrative. Every year, close to 60% of domestic tourism is driven by faith, and redeveloping these areas has become central to the government's economic vision. The big question we ask, has the Prime Minister redefined Vikas by merging it with Bhakti? Before I get the guests, here's a special report.
Nearly a year after his last visit to Kedarnath, the call of Baba Kedar brought Prime Minister Modi back to the temple. Donning a traditional Pahadi outfit called Chola Dora, made by the women of Chamba in Himachal Pradesh, Prime Minister Modi performed a puja at Kedarnath temple. When he was gifted the outfit during a recent visit to Himachal, he had promised the women that he would wear it at the first instance during a visit to a cold region. He honoured the women by keeping his word. Prime Minister Modi also visited the Adi Guru Shankaracharya Samadhi Sthal in Kedarnath. He also interacted with Shramjeevis working on development projects and inquired if they were receiving benefits of government's welfare schemes. Accompanied by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami, Prime Minister Modi then proceeded to Badrinath. He offered prayers at the famous Badrinath temple and reviewed the progress of development work of the riverfront in Badrinath. Striking a balance between Aastha and Vikas, Prime Minister Modi laid the foundation stone for roadway and ropeway projects worth 3,400 crores for the Kedarnath and Badrinath temples.
Jai Badri Vishal.
And addressed a massive gathering at Manna village.
21वीं सदी के विकसित भारत के निर्माण के दो प्रमुख स्तंभ हैं। पहला, अपनी विरासत पर गर्व और दूसरा, विकास के लिए हर संभव प्रयास।
From rebuilding Ram Janmabhoomi to renovating Kashi Vishwanath and the Mahakal temple in Ujjain, and now putting the spotlight on Kedarnath and Badrinath. Is Prime Minister Modi making a pitch for cultural restoration?
Let me take the question now to the panelists who are joining me. Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Ajay Dua is the former Secretary, Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Dr. Omji Upadhyay is Director ICHR. We also have economist Vijay Sardana. Dr. Upadhyay, I'm going to begin with you. From Kashi Vishwanath Dham to Gujarat's Somnath Temple, Kedarnath Mandir in Uttarakhand, the Mahakal Lok Corridor in Madhya Pradesh, in Ujjain, the Prime Minister's tenure, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tenure, has been marked with restoration of India's iconic temples. When we see a push of this nature, do you see this as a civilizational quest? Dr. Upadhyay, if you can hear me?
Pardon? Pardon, could you please repeat your question?
I'm saying, you see this, do you see this as a civilizational quest of Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Yeah, definitely. Whatever Prime Minister Modi is doing in this regard, I mean, restoration of several temples, which is the centers of our faith, you can say. So this is a very, I mean, he is trying to connect ourselves, connect the Bharatiya people to its roots in a proper way, which was, I mean, Britishers and their brain children in last 7 decades also, I mean, apart from those 2 centuries, for last 270 years, these, I mean, the roots of Indian culture and our knowledge tradition, it was distorted like anything. So he is trying to just, I mean, revive those things. So this is a great move.
Okay.
Because this is our USP. On the basis of this thing only, we were termed as Vishwaguru.
Okay.
So
okay, I want to understand it from the prism of industry and also how and what does it mean for the larger economic model that Prime Minister is not now talking about. Vijay Sardana, we are seeing here development of temple towns. The infrastructure that you see in these temple towns will lead to creation of job opportunities. When Prime Minister was at Mahakal Corridor, he talked about the fact that India is seeing startups, unicorns. It was about Astha, yes, but it was also about a development model or an economic model which is very unique and one may say a pattern that has emerged as well. Just look at it. Kashi Vishwanath Corridor, Kedarnath project, Somnath temple, then you also have Kashmir temple revamp, of course Ram temple in Ayodhya as well.
I think this is one of the most sensible approach for economic development in those areas where there are no big industries or where we call it backward areas. Everywhere you may not have mines, everywhere you may not have minerals, everywhere you cannot have ports. But when it comes to pilgrimage, and especially the places which has a deep-rooted, thoughts, relationships, feelings, emotions in the society, those can be fantastic economic opportunity for the society and the country. Look at the countries, Vatican. The whole economy depends upon tourism. Look at Karbala.
Yes.
Look at all the Makkah, Medina.
Yes.
All these things are sought after pilgrimage places. If we are doing it, imagine India has 30 states. If we develop 60 world-class tourist destinations, what will happen? Those areas, not just those temples, but with the radius of minimum 50 kilometers, there will be a lot of developments. There will be hotels, restaurants, resorts, educational institutions, because those become like brands in their own way. So in order to create employment, and mind you, these religious places absorb all sorts of skills. You don't need an IT guy to go to Ayodhya for work. Guy who is doing a good cook can get a job there. A good tailor will get a job there. Large number of women, those who are living in villages, will start making handicrafts, which will come as souvenir from Ram temple or Krishna temple or
that is actually true, Vijay Sardana. I witnessed it outside Mahakal temple when I had gone to cover Madhya Pradesh elections, 5 years ago. Of course, Charu Pragya, Prime Minister arriving in Kedarnath early morning at 8 a.m. and all journalists were up and about covering this. We have seen this push that has happened over the last few years and a consistent narrative that is emerging. And interestingly, your political opponents are not questioning or challenging it. They understand fully well that this is a pitch that the BJP has mastered an art of. So the question here is that be it Mahakal, in which Mr. Kamalnath wants credit, or some kind of development project in another temple town, are you ready to share that?
Maria, what a long day you must have had if you've been up with the Prime Minister and you're still working. But what a wonderful and positive day this has been for our country. And I agree with my fellow co-panelists. Modi ji's mantra from the very beginning has been that dharma and development can go hand in hand. And his governance has proved it. What he has done for all the places of not just religious but also cultural importance for India, for people the world over, in fact, is that he has got religious tourism directed to these places with the best of the facilities. So infrastructure grows, jobs grow. As my co-panelist said, there are going to be opportunities for people to live better lives right where they are instead of migrating to bigger cities. And it has just been wonderful to see every single temple town come to life in such a beautiful and modern way. So Kedarnath, Badrinath, Ayodhya, Kashi, Ujjain, Dwarka, Somnath, the list goes on, and it's actually become destinations for not just Indians but also foreigners to travel to. People from all over the world want to go to the Vatican City because it is the religious capital for one particular religion. Imagine how much tourism we will be directing and how much of the economic benefits of that we will be directed towards our people in India and these areas. And why the opposition, most of them don't say anything. Some
have not
of them
said a word. Nobody has said your face no opposition to this one.
Yeah, so there are some, I think, unassuming, unthinking ones who don't think before they talk, who blurt out things, because everybody understands at the end of the day what Modi ji is doing for this country is the best. You cannot question it.
Okay.
Because here you are making sure that Astha is looked after for everybody. Any Hindu who wants to go to a place of pilgrimage is welcomed, and at the same time, Vikas reaches these far-flung towns.
Okay. Dr. Dua, thank you for your patience. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has joined the long list of 41 lakh pilgrims who have visited the Char Dhams this year, and it has broken all previous records. The earlier record was in the year 2019 when about 35 lakh pilgrims visited the 4 holy shrines, which are the Char Dham. The focus certainly here is to make it accessible, ensure greater connectivity, and that's why the project and its very nature is about the ropeways and others. If the vision is around that, then what opposition can anybody necessarily have?
Not a very realistic opposition is possible to a theme like this. But not even, I'm of this opinion, as my other panelists have said, that there is a rationale in what Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, is doing. After all, to spur development in an area, whatever is locally available, that's being made use of. He goes to Mana, north of Kedarnath, even on the last village on the Indian border with China, and talks about, like Bharat Mala has been set up, Sagar Mala has been promoted, that this government is also going to be promoting Parvatalaya, what can be done in the mountains. And what is the biggest deficiency, Maria, in the mountains or the hilly areas? Connectivity.
Yes.
Where roads are not possible, he's talked of linking them up with ropeways. Linking up centers of cultural heritage, which otherwise also receive a large number of visitors, as you mentioned, 30 odd lakhs in 3 years ago, which has gone up this year. The question is, whatever are your assets, cultural assets, in the country, in a region, as long as you are in a position to make use of, I think it makes sense to do it. I am saying whatever the religion might be.
Yes.
If there are assets there which attract people, which have the potential to spur economic development, we need to develop them. If these 4 dhams attract people, which as the number you put out just now is obvious, why not capitalize on it further?
Absolutely. This is good economics, one would say, at the same time, good faith politics, as many are saying. But Dr. Dua, why did it take so many years have passed since India's independence? There have been several politicians, several prime ministers. Why did it take Prime Minister Narendra Modi to come up with a formula of this nature? Why didn't previous governments see a potential in these places of worship?
I think that is what I would say was politics. That no one in the past was willing to kind of first declare that we are a Hindu majority state and that we have religious assets, I am calling them, which can be made use of, all because they feared that in 1976 we put out in our constitution, India is a secular state, that we might be seen to be violating it. I think that was an apprehension, fear, not well founded. I don't think anyone can say what the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is done in this respect is constitutionally incorrect. It is not. It allows that whatever is your religion, you can work in favor of it as long as you do not do it at the expense of another.
Dr. Upadhyay, here is restoration activity, revival, ensuring that it stays connected also with the younger generation. They have reasons to visit these places. If they have better infrastructure, better hotels, better movement areas around them. So how is this problematic in any way? If anything, this is trying to ensure that there are opportunities at multiple fronts, spiritual tourism. And spiritual tourism is something that has benefited several economies of the world.
Yeah, this is really a great step. In fact, you have asked a very pertinent and relevant question. When Britishers came here, when Britishers came to India, they came with several theories. One of them was a white man's burden theory. They told us that you people are barbaric, uncultured, you are jungly people, you are barbaric people, you are cruel. They told us like that. So, and they hammered our confidence like anything. So these activities, and we forgot ourselves. The irony is that Bharatiya people forgot themselves. They were, what they were, they forgot this. So these activities, we are connecting with our roots, real roots, that on the basis of these things only, we were Vishwaguru. In fact, Yajurved, there is a slok in Yajurved which says that Sa Prathama Sanskriti Vishwara. We are the people, we are the first people who can termed as conveyor of culture to the world. So these activities, these are our real USP. We taught culture to the entire world. So Modi ji is trying to just connect us with our real roots.
So as we get connected to the real roots, it's also taking us in a direction of economic well-being as well. Charu, 30 seconds and then I give the final words to Vijay Sardana.
Yeah, very quickly, and because you asked the question previously, why is it that previous governments have never thought to take this route, not just to look after the majority Hindus in this country, but generally as a good economic measure? The reason for that is that previous governments have looked at minorities or otherwise merely as a vote bank and as nothing else. So if you look at development coming, it has not come to anyone. It is not like a minority had been thriving in that era before Modi ji came to power. Today, everybody is doing well and is at equal footing, getting the benefits of all the welfare work the government is doing, also getting the benefits of all the developmental work which is reaching every corner of the country.
Okay, Vijay Sadhana, final words to you. And look at the statistics. 60% of domestic tourism is driven by faith.
I fully agree, and let me highlight few statistics for your benefit of your audience. See, US was getting, just before COVID, $190 billion from international tourists. China was getting $150 billion. India was getting only $34 billion, which is far richer in natural resources, faith sites, religious sentiments, handicrafts, artistics, architect, and so many things. As far as inbound tourist is concerned, so far I was talking international tourists. Inbound tourists, US was having $1 trillion turnover of inbound tourists. China was having within the country about 930 billion, and India was having $155 billion turnover. Now, look at the imagination. If all the sites, and my request is that all state governments should explore. India is so rich, and every district has something to present to the world. If they do it, every international level tourism place will be $1 billion opportunity for every state. And this is not going to need any extra technology or replacement of technology like 5G, 4G, etc. They will be once in a while, they will be created, and countrywide, every year, every month, every festival, there will be crowd. And that will bring the money spinning activity as an economic activity with faith. So prosperity, culture, ethics, ethos, and money. What else can be a better development model than developing such pilgrimage which brings people with value systems and with prosperity?
All right, Vijay Sadhana, thank you so much for your time. Charu Pragya, Dr. Ajay Dua, and Dr. Padya, thank you. We're slipping into a short break. Up next, an exclusive conversation with 2022 Booker Prize winner, Sri Lankan author Shehan Karna Tilaka.